I'm Bryan Bodner with BlockFi, and this is Moving the Chains. Let's get it. Hey everybody, welcome back to BlockFi's Moving the Chains series. Let's get right to it. Adam Kownacki, aka Babyface, aka the Bitcoin Community People's Champ, 20 wins, 15 by knockout, 1 loss, currently ranked number 6 in the heavyweight division by the World Boxing Association. Adam, it's great to connect again and welcome to BlockFi's Moving Chains.
Thank you for having me on. It's a pleasure.
Cool. So we got the killer bees, Bitcoin and boxing. We're gonna get into both of them, but first off, I want to touch on the boxing piece. How'd you first get into boxing?
I had older cousins, so fighting was always part of the family tradition. Especially being Polish and stuff, they taught me how to fight back in Poland. They're watching like old school movies with like Jean-Claude Van Damme and Bruce Lee. But then it comes to the States, watching Andrew Golota fight, and I was like, oh wow, you can actually fight and get paid for this? That's awesome. So I finally found a gym when I was 15 years old. Talked to my mom to sign me up. My cousin took me for the first 6 months. Like sometimes they force me to go because you're a teenager, you want to do some fun stuff. Like now you gotta go train. So I went 3 times a week, and then I fell in love with the sport. And I love the work ethic that you gotta put in. I love the fighting.
I guess at an early age with you and your cousins, it was either learn how to fight or get beat up. So you went with the latter and became a professional boxer.
Right. Yeah, I mean, luckily they always taught me how to fight. So instead of beating me up, so they would always give me like tips how to do it. But I guess I was their like training buddy where they got to try moves on. Yeah.
So you mentioned that you were born in Poland. I know you also moved to Brooklyn as a child. Anecdotally, I actually have family originally from Eastern Europe as well. And I was telling you earlier on how I have family in Brooklyn too. So a lot of Americans are not as cognizant or aware of what life is like in different parts of the world and get wrapped up a little bit in what life is like immediately here. So for someone like yourself who has family back in Europe and Eastern Europe and over in Brooklyn, you experienced both firsthand. Could you paint a picture a little bit for our audience on what the difference in culture is like between the two areas you grew up in and kind of what the economic activity is like in both regions?
I think here in the States, you have so much more opportunity. If you work hard, somebody will give you a chance to succeed and become great. Where in Poland, if you're not in the right spot, the right time, or know the right person, you're not making it nowhere. I got lucky. My family won the green card lottery. We had an aunt here, so my dad and my mom took the risk to come to the States and try to give me and my brothers a better life.
Fantastic. Do you still have family back in Lomja, or is everybody mostly over back here in New York?
So I got a couple family back there, but most of them are here in the States.
Do you think that this global perspective, again, with 1 foot in Poland and 1 foot in New York, do you think this perspective with your kind of global background played a role in introducing you to Bitcoin? Or how did you first come across it, and what really attracted you to it?
The freedom, right? Like, you don't really got to count on nobody to tell you how to hold your money, where to hold your money. You got to do these current exchanges. Going back to Poland, so my first global exchange was I did it at an airport, which they rip you off bad. My wife was like, "Yeah, we should do this. The price is horrible." I was like, "Yeah, we'll be all right. Just a couple of bucks." We paid so much over for this water; it was insane. It'll be great. I mean, I think the world is becoming one instead of all these little nations. I think that's where it's going. I mean, even though like everybody should be proud of where they're from and stuff, keep their traditions. We all humans on this planet trying to live together, right? So it should be one currency, and I think Bitcoin is it. Especially like Jack Dorsey said, like it's the currency of the internet.
I also want to really drill into this point on individual freedoms, because it's something that you particularly, I know on social media and everywhere else, you've been particularly outspoken about individual freedoms. Could you expand a little bit more, just beyond what you've already mentioned? How do you think that Bitcoin can help to unlock these individual freedoms going forward for people no matter where they are in the world?
Also, it puts the money in the people's hands, not in the hands of governments. That's what's so great about America, right? It's we the people. It's for us, about us, and I think we should have control over our money and stuff. Not press a button and here's a couple $1 trillion, people. Have fun.
Yeah, it definitely puts a lot more personal responsibility and personal autonomy on people to do what they want with money they can actually hold, and that is not changed or manipulated by outside forces outside of their control, beyond, of course, the consensus of the overall network that might choose to move in a certain direction. So you also, in that light, you recently tweeted that you got your neighbor to start stacking sats, start buying Bitcoin. I love seeing that you had that conversation with your neighbor. What did you say that finally made him cross the line and start to get some exposure there?
Say probably nothing to show how much I ended up making. I think that's what everybody wants to do, is get rich, and is looking for a get rich scheme. So I got into Bitcoin for the same reasons, actually. Oh, I can get rich of this, right? And I made some decent money, actually. I got in before the first bull run. So I got really lucky, and then I needed some money because I wasn't really making enough. So I got rid of everything. And then it's dropped to 3,000, I think it was. And then Jack Dorsey, he was on the Joe Rogan podcast. And I was like, oh, Bitcoin.
This is real.
Yeah. And Jack Dorsey talking about it. I mean, let me get more head into it. And I started learning more and more. Started following more people on Twitter that follow Bitcoin. And I was like, yo, this is it. I mean, I love it more. And then I just started stacking stats and holding that stuff and not getting rid of it.
Probably also when you have a heavyweight boxer come knocking on your door and telling you should do something, you probably listen a little more. Like I better give it some serious thought before I choose how to respond here. I talk about it all the time. People look at me like I'm crazy already, like especially at the gym. My trainers like yo, shut up already. I was gonna ask you about that as well. So a few things I want to get into on that. One, I wanted to kind of touch on the difference in boxing with other sports in terms of you have the individual component where once you step in the ring, it's you and your opponent and that's it. But you also have your team around you in the preparation that helps you get ready for the fight. You have your team in the corner. Could you expand a little bit on what that's like and what that dynamic is like with the individual versus the team aspect of boxing, which is a little bit unique in that regard?
Right. So it starts from training to the manager to your PT, to your strength and conditioning coach, even down to my wife and my family. They're there with me every day, making sure my head is right, that I stay humble. And so even though, like you said, even though you enter the ring by yourself, getting there is a process and involves everybody.
Makes a lot of sense. And I was going to ask you, because you mentioned it, are you telling all your teammates and everyone they got to buy Bitcoin, you got to check this out? Have they listened to it all?
I sent my trainer some Bitcoin, but he lost his 12 words. And I'm like, when I got back into it, I'm like, that's probably a lot of money right now.
I should have kept it.
Yeah, he's like, yeah, I'll find. I'm like, keep thinking it's bullshit, man. One day you're going to be like, I could have retired on that. And you're going to be upset.
I do the same thing. I'm obviously, this is what I do for a living, so I'm talking about Bitcoin all the time. My fiance, she can't wait for me to stop talking about it. She's sick of it. I'm like, you should think about it. Like, you should maybe buy some yourself. And she just tells me to shut up. She doesn't want to hear about it anymore. But we'll get there.
I think what scares people most is they see the price of it's around 19,000 right now. It's like, oh, it's a lot. I'm like, no, just do dollar cost average. And just stack stats. Buy $20 every week. Like instead of getting a cup of coffee, just buy $2 worth of Bitcoin, make a coffee at home. And that's how a lot of people are like, oh, that's not a bad idea. And actually, that's how my neighbor got into it. He's like, let me put in $20. And I'm like, so he put it in between during Thanksgiving when it dropped a little bit.
That's amazing. That's classic. It's Thanksgiving dinner, you're talking about it, and I was like, I might as well buy it.
So he bought when it dropped on VIP, and the next day it bounced back. He's like, oh wow! And he ended up buying more. I was like, oh, see, you get addicted once you see.
Once you get that taste, you can't stop. Once you get down that rabbit hole, once you get a little exposure, it only goes one way from there. It's also a good point too that you bring up, because I think for people who are more involved in the space, it seems obvious, but for others who are outside of it, they think to themselves, oh, I don't have $19,000, I can't buy Bitcoin. But it's a really good point. Some of our listeners out there who might be getting their first exposure either now or they're curious. A lot of people don't know you can buy any amount of Bitcoin. It's divisible. It's highly divisible. You can buy Satoshis, which is what we're mentioning when we say stacking sats. Individual Satoshis are a fraction of a penny. And I also want to bring up another point there, which you might be aware. I'm sure, Adam, I know we have an existing relationship through BlockFi already. That we have our new Bitcoin Rewards credit card coming out. First of all, are you on the waiting list yet, Adam?
Not yet. I'm not big on credit cards.
You got to get on that.
Yeah.
So for people who are unaware, we're launching the first Bitcoin Rewards credit card, which allows you to spend credit like any other credit card through Visa, and you can collect, instead of restaurant points or travel points, or whatever else, you can collect passive income in Bitcoin. So every time you spend, you'll be getting 1.5% back in Bitcoin. So it's a really easy way for people who are going to be using credit cards for any purposes, for any walk of life. They can passively collect Bitcoin without spending a single dollar towards buying it directly. And I think it's a really interesting way for people who don't have exposure to start passively building that stack there. You specifically have been mostly outspoken on Bitcoin in this space. Is there any other currencies that you have any interest in at all? And if not, why is your opinion on that?
Mostly to Bitcoin, like trying to pick up as much as I can about that. And then lately, seeing where Vitalik goes with Ethereum, like what's his game plan, you know, like you don't know who Satoshi Nakamoto is. I think it's better when nobody knows who the guy that created it is, you know.
It's a fascinating story there with Satoshi, where is it a group, is it a person? Some people are will go as far as saying maybe they're not of this planet. So there's a lot of interesting conspiracies there.
The news came out, right?
Yeah.
I think yesterday, 2 days ago with
it's a fascinating backstory there. So if Bitcoin, we're gonna touch on this a bit. If Bitcoin is the heavyweight champion, who are some of the Ethereum, maybe Litecoin, some of these DeFi coins? Who might be some contenders, and like kind of who is that in the boxing world if Bitcoin's a champion?
So I think Ethereum is like a little bit under with the cap, right? And then I like Zcash because it's really anonymous, right? Monero's pretty, like, if you want to do the shady stuff, I guess that stuff is good.
Privacy is good. There's no problem with
Right.
privacy. There's a lot of very valid reasons for people to want that privacy in place. Obviously, there's some regulatory concerns that are kind of developing now that people within regulatory bodies are starting to look at more closely with how to regulate something with these privacy protocols like Zcash and Monero. But they're definitely interesting with the zero knowledge proofs they have kind of fueling that system.
Right. Now I think it's going to be the digital dollar, right? I mean, right now we have some other options with the Gemini dollar, I think, Tether, right? It's called Tether.
So you have USD, you have Tether, you have USDC. Those are some of the more popular ones we have on our platform. We also have PAX. Those are the US stable coins that we support. And there are some others. We're starting to see some more stable coins built in other regions as well. There's some rumblings about possibly a Euro stable coin. And then if you look at it's not necessarily a stable coin, because it's more direct, but obviously China's launching their digital currency. There's been some talk about doing the same thing in the US. And with the EU as well. So it'll be interesting to see how that dynamic plays out with stable coins and digital government issued dollars as well. Will be interesting narrative to see how that unfolds.
Just dipping our toes into this, this ecosystem. So it's very interesting how it all plays out.
Absolutely. And we won't touch on this too much, but there's been a recent development with the Stable Act, which is directly targeted at stable coins and regulating them. And it does have some possible overlap with some of the more public decentralized networks like Bitcoin, Ethereum, and others that are maybe not intended, but there's going to be a lot of ramifications for what happens with that Stable Act. And I think it's being built on the backs of this push for digital dollars and things of that sort, where there really will be some kind of direct competition there. And the government seems to want more authority on that front and less of a Yeah, shocking. Who would So it'll be very interesting to see how that plays out with Stable Act. Most recently, the legend himself, Mike Tyson, just got back into the ring for the first time in 15 years. What are your thoughts seeing a guy like that lace up the gloves again for the first time?
Wasn't a huge fan. Still so young guys, I mean, you're 50 years old. I think you should be investing in the young fighters, the amateur systems, trying to get the right coaches to teach the craft instead of having these two guys. It's like, I think the best quote I saw was like your two uncles playing at a picnic,
Yes. Who said that? I think Snoop Dogg said that.
If you want to see the sport advance, now I talk about has-beens.
Yes. So I'm going to go the exact opposite direction now. When you say you want to see younger people, this is the opposite approach where you have someone like Mike Tyson, who obviously had a tremendous success many years ago in the opposite direction. What are your thoughts on, in the undercard of Mike Tyson, you had Jake Paul fighting NBA player Nate Robinson. Most recently, you have Logan Paul, who just signed an exhibition with Floyd Mayweather. So you're starting to see this kind of celebrity boxing run in parallel of the actual professional boxing. And on the one hand, you have it where it's bringing on a ton of new eyes and new limelight and new money to the sport. But on the other hand, to your point also, you have real boxers like yourself who are probably much better equipped to put on a better fight. And I'm just curious on what your thoughts are on the growing kind of narrative within that celebrity boxing ring.
So I think like boxing should be much more popular than it is. When you're on a school court and you have kids playing basketball, kids playing baseball, kids playing football, or there's a fight, what is everybody watching?
You get a fight going, like an actual, just like an impromptu fight, right. That's going to draw the eyes 10 out of 10 times.
Exactly, that's what I mean. Like that's what, and I think that's why like Jake and Paul are showing. Like it shows that people love fighting. Like we as humans, we're drawn to fighting. That's in our nature. That's what you want to watch. And with YouTube, with the internet, Instagram, Twitter, all the other stuff, like it gives us boxers a platform to get the fans to know us better, like show our story, and hopefully it could draw more fans to see us fight other people. And I'm surprised that no actual like promoter actually like capitalized on that. You know that like you have podcasts, like boxers aren't really doing that stuff. I mean, we're kind of behind on that stuff. I think that's where the world is going, especially these young crowds. Like if you go to a boxing fight, I mean, like luckily with me, since I'm Polish, I have a big like Polish fan base. It's people all over the place, but
big Bitcoin fan base as well. You got there's not a single person in the Bitcoin community who is not wholeheartedly rooting for you every single fight.
Awesome, thank you guys. At least appreciate that. But it's like a lot of like young guys. But like you go to any other fight, it's old men like watching the fights, where the community is so much different.
Yeah.
Because boxing is kind of lacking on getting to the internet, the YouTubes, and hopefully Jake and Paul can set an example. Like, yo, we as fighters, we got to take that and use it to our advantage. Because if we get more eyes on us, that's where more money will come in and we'll get paid more. I mean, just like the economics of it, you know?
Yeah, hopefully that can bring in a ton of new eyes and new excitement around the sport and start to kind of prop it back up and get the fighters like yourself kind of some of the more recognition and limelight and building back up the sport. So over under, he's fighting Floyd Mayweather, undefeated, obviously Hall of Fame boxer. bit of a size difference, but if you were to fight Logan Paul, over under 1.5 rounds until knockout.
I'll probably under. Yeah.
Under.
Yeah, Logan. I think Mayweather's gonna make it a show. Like he's gonna make it like play out a little bit. You know, like make sure the fans get money worth.
Put on a good show.
Yeah, like he did with Conor McGregor, like that lasted 10, 12 rounds. I mean, but he probably could.
Conor looked more. Obviously, Conor has more fighting experience in general, but there's obviously a difference between the MMA world and the boxing world. Conor looked like he, and I know actually he has experience from early on in life. He was, I believe he was boxed before he did mixed martial arts, but he looked like he looked like he could hang in the boxing ring a bit. But you probably have a more sophisticated eye than myself.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think Mayweather like carried him to a fight more than. I mean, listen. I have like I have friends that fight in the UFC.
Yeah.
Actually, I work with my friends the other weekend. So I'm a big fan of the sport, but it's two different sports. Like it's oranges and apples. You can't really compare the two.
Totally, completely different. And so getting back to your fighting, you most recently experienced your first professional loss. So I want to touch on that quickly. Again, we're all big fans here, as we know the next fight's going to be. You're gonna get back to that next win streak. I just wanted to kind of touch on this and see what are your thoughts as you get prepared for your next fight. You've experienced the first loss. Kind of how does that shift your mindset and preparation as you move forward to the next stage of your career?
I just want to get back in there, you know. Hopefully the next fight will be a rematch. And I just want to prove it was just a mistake on my part, you know. Something went wrong in the preparations. There was a ton of different things going on in my life. So my son is he's 15 months, so that was a good. Yeah, that was a new addition to the family. I mean, a lot of sleepless nights. Definitely, but I can't wait to be back in there, you know. And I showed that that was just a mistake, and It won't happen again.
Fantastic. And we're rooting for you. It sounds like for your next fight, you are looking for a rematch. Understandable. And I'd personally love to watch that again myself. Is there anybody else you want to call out on future fights, or are you kind of more focused on getting that rematch and kind of writing what happened there?
Right. I want to get a rematch, just show that was a fluke. It won't happen again. And I want to fight the best guys out there, you know?
Yeah, 100%.
It's crazy because, one loss, and like I was ranked like top 5 in all the federations. After that loss, everybody just dropped me except the WBA, you know, which is kind of crazy. I mean, and then the guys I beat are ranked like number 1, number 2. So
yeah. We'll get back into once you kind of put that to bed. We'll get back to that march towards the champion of the heavyweight division.
For sure.
So yeah, I mean, also it's like you had a dip. It's kind of like what's going on right now. You're kind of like following the trajectory of Bitcoin there. We had a little dip. Now we're back up. We're on the rise again, and we're going to new highs.
Right. Yeah, for sure. I mean.
So great. Any closing questions you have for me on the future of BlockFi, Bitcoin? Anything about your experience with BlockFi so far you want to touch on? I guess on that point, actually, how is it going for you with BlockFi? You want to give a little sneak peek to our audience of what it's been like working with us so far?
Yeah, working with BlockFi has been amazing. Checking it every day how much interest I'm gathering compared to my saving accounts in the bank. It's insane. Like, wow, I was like, I made this much money like in my whole year last year. I made here like in 2-3 days.
It doesn't hurt. It makes the first of the month look extra exciting every time. Right.
Yeah. So definitely exciting. And can't wait to continue going with you guys.
Awesome. Any questions you had for me in that respect that I could help with on Bitcoin, BlockFi? Me personally, anything you wanna chat about?
Everything is good. I feel it's going in the right way. There's been no issues. Can't wait for the credit cards to come up. I'm gonna sign up on the waiting list right now.
Yeah, we gotta get you on that wait list and get going.
Yeah, and can't wait till New York becomes allows this stuff, because it's gonna be huge.
100%. So Adam, before we wrap up here, for our fans and audience out there who want to follow you on your march towards the heavyweight champion, thoughts on Bitcoin, freedom, all that, where can they find you?
Yeah, so Twitter, Instagram, it's AK Babyface. For the merch, you go to akbabyface.com. That's about it. Twitter, Instagram, and the website.
Everybody,
most active.
Twitter, Instagram, go buy some merch, AK Babyface. Adam, thanks so much for coming on again.
I use BTC, you get 20% off.
Hey everybody, thanks for watching this video. Hope you enjoyed the most recent episode of Moving the Chains. If so, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment on the video. We got a ton of great new content coming for the rest of 2021. We're talking all things Bitcoin, crypto, sports, investing with the biggest names in the industry. Thanks guys, we'll see you next time.